Most of you are either existing MSSC assessment centers or you've signed up during our open enrollment period that we had earlier this year to recruit additional assessment centers near military bases to support our military credentialing program. I'm going to give you just a little bit of background on that program, just so you kind of have the history of how we got to where we are and where we expect this to go in the future. First of all, MSSC started participating in the White House Department of Defense Licensing and Credentialing Task Force in 2011. Since then, we have been working on 2 phases of a pilot where we have tested individuals from the Army, Air Force, Marines, and Navy, almost exclusively active duty, but we're working now to incorporate reservists and Guard into that. The first year, as you can see from this information, about 600 active duty personnel participated from all branches of the service. The largest percentage of that, about 50%, was from the Army, and the rest were kind of divided up among the Air Force, Marines, and Navy. The results of that pilot showed that the individuals knew the material but had some difficulty with some of the language, switching between military speak and civilian speak. So what we did between phase 1 and phase 2 was created some kind of bridge course material to help them make that transition. And now we're just finishing up the second phase of the pilot, where we've given about 300 or 400 additional service members access to that material, the bridge course, and then allowed them to take the test. And we'll be testing throughout May and June, and we should have the results of that midsummer, which we can provide to you just to let you know kind of how to expect these individuals to perform. Once the pilot is completed, there'll be a full program rollout, and essentially what that means is the headquarters of Defense and Army and the other branches of the service will be officially announcing the program to their members. It's already begun to happen in some respects. There's already word about the program has already started to get out just via word of mouth among soldiers who have participated. So we really expect to see the program kind of ramp up throughout the summer and into the fall. And by fall, it should be in full swing, I think. Some of the factors that will be coming into play as this rolls out, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the numbers that we can expect. I've gotten a lot of questions from those of you that have been participating in the program just about how many to expect, and it's very difficult to estimate, as I'm sure you can imagine. But these are the published numbers from the Department of Defense about the drawdown that's expected. So you can see that over the next year, there are about 42,000 service members, or almost 50,000 service members, I'm sorry, who will be separating from the service as part of the drawdown. That does not include just normal separation that occurs annually. And by 2017, it's going to be about another 65 to 70,000 troops. So it's quite a lot of people that are being affected by the drawdown, and we expect that will influence this particular program because, as you'll see on this next slide, the people who will be most affected by the drawdown are enlisted men and women and first-termers. So these are individuals that don't have a lot of work experience either in the military or outside of the military. Often they have no work experience outside the military. So entry-level certification programs like our CLT program can have a big impact for people in those situations, and it's those types of individuals that we will be marketing the program to through the military. You can see just some other points that I've learned from the Army. The rest of the slide is all Army specific. They're expecting people to try to move to reserve and Guard, but those individuals will still need to have full-time employment aside from their military duty. So those individuals will still be seeking to earn some kind of credential or some kind of extra education to help them get that job. So these are the numbers of people who fit into our certification program. We've been piloting almost exclusively our Certified Logistics Technician certification, which is an entry-level certification for those of you that aren't familiar with it. It's entry-level. It focuses on frontline material handling workers. So that's anyone from entry-level through a frontline supervisor that works in any kind of logistics environment. So it could be a transportation department in a manufacturing company. It could be a transportation company like UPS or American Airlines Cargo. It affects a wide group in the transportation arena. It also is applicable to anybody who works in a warehouse or distribution center. So this slide just kind of shows you how many of those types of individuals are in both the Army and the Air Force. We don't have those numbers from the Marines and Navy yet. As we get them, we will continue to provide you with updates on that. But you can see it's quite a large group in the Army specifically. There's about 50,000 people that we've been working with now. So those are the 92 Alphas and 92 Yankees. Those are the two programs that we've been conducting our pilot program with. But there are 7 other groups in that 92 level that have also been authorized to use our certification to earn promotion points. The key to that is active duty members who don't want to be affected by the drawdown. As I mentioned, it's mostly enlisted men and women and first termers. So if they're trying to get a promotion, so they will kind of be a cut above that, they're going to be seeking out to get these certifications quickly to move them up and get the promotion points necessary to get them up out of, well, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll stay in, but it gives them a better chance. And then you can see the Air Force numbers. It's about another 30,000 people there. So these are just people who are eligible to participate. That means for the Army will pay for them to take the assessment. Same for the Air Force and the Marines, well, and the Navy as well. So if they fit into these categories and the military will pay for it, there's a likely chance that over the next 2 and 3 years they will be seeking out these certifications, which again is why we've reached out to you and will continue to reach out to assessment centers near military bases to try to provide as much opportunity to them as we can. So just a little bit about the transition plans that the military is working on. It's not a clean-cut business. All the branches are trying to move their individuals toward a 12-month transition plan. But as I'm sure those of you who have worked with military in the past, not all military personnel make that decision that far in advance. Sometimes, someone might plan to stay in, but then all of a sudden 3 or 4 months before they have to re-enlist, they change their mind. And so now they have 3 months to get everything together and figure out what they're going to do. So one of the goals of this credentialing task force that we've been working on is to make sure that every transitioning person, whether they have decided 3 months out, 12 months out, 2 years out, whatever the case may be, to make sure that they have access to industry certifications and other kinds of training programs, that they know what's available to them to make that transition as smooth as possible and shorten any unemployment time that they might experience. We have been working with the Army and the Navy on their COOL, Army COOL and Navy COOL. That's credentialing opportunities online. Our certifications are approved on that, which basically means when an individual from the Army or the Navy wants to find out what certifications are out there, they put in their military occupational specialty, and if they fit into one of those categories that I showed you previously, our certification will pop up. It will tell them, if the Army will pay for it, which they will, and it tells them how to go about earning that certification. The Air Force is working on its own version of COOL, and we will also be on that. And I'm not sure about the Marines. I'm not sure how they're going to address that. But again, as we find out more information from them as the program continues, we'll continue to keep you updated. So that's a little bit of background on how we've gotten to where we are. You know, as you can see, through the pilot program, we've touched about 1,000 to 1,200 active duty members of the military. Through various other programs that we've done that weren't necessarily veteran specific, we've touched probably the same amount of veterans across the country. But again, just because of what we're experiencing and the success of the pilot program, we are expecting that the combination of the program being announced fully to the entire service and the drawdown coming into play, as well as all of the, you know, we still have quite a lot of individuals returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. So when you put all of those things together, as I mentioned before, we do expect that we're going to start to see these numbers increase probably slowly over the summer, but then really kind of get into full swing this fall. So how do you fit into this? Those of you that have signed up to be what we're calling military-friendly MSSC assessment centers. Of course, that doesn't mean that our other assessment centers don't provide assessment opportunities. That just means that when the military comes to us, or when a veteran comes to us and says, where can I go take your test, yours will be the first names that we provide them. So the way that we're doing that is we have, on our website, we have a map of all of our assessment centers, and there's a little drop-down menu that you can click and select that you want to find military-friendly centers, where you will be highlighted. We will also be providing your names on a location basis to individuals who contact us to participate in the program. So when either a military base or military personnel contacts us, they'll be given a list of the military-friendly assessment centers within 25 miles of their location. I think that we've covered pretty well in some of the background material that we've sent to you about how you can deliver the assessments. They are delivered online, as you know from going through the Proctor training webinar over the past couple of months. You can deliver those at your school, or if you have contacts on base, or if you have a relationship with the base and they have a testing center there where they will allow you to do it, you can do it there. The key is that it be an MSSC authorized proctor. So as long as you are connected to an MSSC authorized assessment center, you can proctor that assessment any place where there's a computer lab that can be set up to meet our security requirements. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about, and this is going to be kind of an ongoing process that we will be continuing to build out and help you with by providing tools. But the key to making this work for your individual school is the relationships that you develop. Like I said, we're going to be providing your information to individuals who contact us in your area. But if you want to get ahead of that game, there's just a few people that you should have relationships with. If you don't already, you should start trying to reach out to these people. The first one and the most important is the exit officer on base. Every base has several exit officers depending on how big the base is. But these are the people that are responsible for making sure that individuals who are transitioning out of the military have the tools that they need. This is the person that's going to tell them about the certification programs and training programs that are in their area that are available to them. So you want to reach out and make that connection and start developing that relationship so they know who you are and they know that you offer this certification program as well as any other programs that you offer for military personnel. Other people that that will be helpful would be the hiring and recruiting managers, the operations and plant managers of local logistics companies. I mean, there are a lot of programs out there to help veterans find jobs. I'm sure that you've all seen them. But one of the things that would make you stand out to make that exit officer recommend you is if you not only offer approved certification programs, but you also know these hiring managers and recruiters at these companies and can help bridge that gap. Or it doesn't have to be you. It can be, your employment center at your college campus. But it helps if you can help to make those connections too, because once the veteran leaves the service, a lot of times they're going to feel on their own, and they're going to want to come to a college that can provide this kind of support to them. The final one is just, local Veterans Affairs offices or veterans programs, for obvious reasons. I mean, they have all kinds of resources for you. And the main thing that we need you to do, which we will follow up with you after this call, so that we can help you with these things, we will provide you with marketing materials and information that you can share with exit officers, or that you can share with TDL employers, to explain the program to them and explain why they should support the program. The main thing is we need you to provide us with a military point of contact. We definitely need your name, email, and phone number. Your title would be helpful as well. This is the person that MSSC is going to provide to the veterans, or if someone from the base contacts us and wants to connect with a college in their area, this is the name of the person that we're going to provide to them. So it needs to be someone who can speak about your military programs to an exit officer on base or to an interested candidate. You can provide us with as many as 2, but we ask you to limit it to no more than 2 people. So like I said, we'll follow up with you at the end of the call to make sure that we get all of that information. So now that we've kind of talked about that a little bit, I'm going to start going through the process of how this is going to work. So you'll understand exactly what's going to happen, and from the beginning, from the time the veteran approaches MSSC until the time they complete the test and we pay you for it. And I would anticipate that this is probably where we'll have the most questions. And I have to leave in about 20 minutes, but Tina Driesen is also on the call, and she is really the expert in the process anyway, so she will be here to answer those questions. And again, we will collect any questions that are submitted through this system and send you, a final FAQ along with this presentation that has the details in it. And we'll follow up again in a couple of weeks to send you some more marketing type information. But on with the process. So basically the way that it's going to work is military personnel or veteran is going to come to MSSC and register online with us because they found out about the program. If a military person approaches you and says, hey, I've heard you're delivering MSSC assessments, I'd like to take one here, this is still the first step. So you still need to direct them to our registration site and have them register with us. And once they register, that's when we're going to send them your information based on their location. These are the, this is the one assessment center in your area that's military friendly, or these are the 3 assessment centers in your area that are military friendly. And then they will choose that center, and they're going to go ahead and make the purchase from MSSC. Now, when they make the purchase, this is just kind of for your information. You won't have to be involved in the purchase process. But basically, they can use tuition assistance from the military to pay for it. They can pay for it with their credit card. They can, we are GI Bill approved for the post 9/11 GI Bill. They can use those funds to pay for both our registration costs and the test fees. However, when they do that, they're still going to have to just pay MSSC, and then they get reimbursed through the GI Bill program. And we have information on that we can give. We'll be giving it to them when they purchase the test, but we can also give it to you so you can pass it along. So once they've gone through that purchase process, they're going to contact you to schedule an assessment time. And it's important that you keep track of that. So especially if you have large numbers of students that are contacting you to test. MSSC is not going to dictate to you how you schedule this process. If you want to allow individuals to contact you and schedule on demand and come test one at a time, that's fine. If you want to set up times, blocks of times at 3 o'clock every Friday, we'll have veteran testing, that's fine. I think a lot of it, you'll kind of have to determine what the volume is going to be based on your location, the size of the veteran and military population around you. And in the beginning, it will probably be more likely that you'll be scheduling, in ones, twos, or threes. If you are an existing MSSC center and you're already offering assessments and you don't mind allowing a veteran to come sit in on a pre-scheduled assessment with another class, that's fine. We can make it as flexible as we need to make it work for you. So once they've scheduled that assessment time with you, they will finalize the order with MSSC and notify us of that they've scheduled with you. Then both the military person and your site coordinator is going to receive a confirmation email that this has happened, that they've scheduled the test. Your site coordinator must click the link in the email to accept that order and confirm that, yes, they did schedule that assessment with you. So that's why it's important, if your military point of contact is not the same as the site coordinator, that military contact who's scheduling the assessment times needs to make sure that they provide that information to the site coordinator, so when they receive this email confirmation, they know whether or not to accept it or not. Because it could be that, there will be people who are going to go in, they're going to purchase the assessment, they're going to find an assessment center nearby, and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to take it here on Thursday, and they're never going to call you. So that's why we have this process in here, so that your site coordinator can say, wait, we can't test them that day, and then we'll stop the process before we send you the test and obligate that fund. So even if I'm going to talk just a little bit about the expiration of the tests. As you see here at the last point, the test codes are valid for 6 months. What that means is, once your site coordinator makes that confirmation to accept the order, that's going to start that 6-month process. So let's say that you, back in that third step, you scheduled for for a Marine to come in and take a test on May 15th at 3 o'clock, and something comes up and he ends up having an obligation, or you end up having, something happens at the school and you can't test on that day. So the two of you connect, you reschedule it. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to stick to that first time that you've scheduled. The main thing to remember is that you just have to do it within 6 months. So if something happens and you can't, or they can't, or whatever the case may be, if there's bad weather, you can always reschedule it. As long as it's done within 6 months, that test code will still be there and it'll be valid for that person. If for some reason that person is not able to complete the test in 6 months, maybe they get deployed. I don't know. There are lots of things that could happen. I know reservists and guardsmen have difficulty sometimes scheduling things because their schedules change. So if for some reason that happens, the military personnel or veteran can contact MSSC and request that code be extended. There's a fee for that. They will have to pay that to us, and then we'll extend the code. I don't anticipate that happening too much, but it is the military. You never really know what might happen. So hopefully those will be minimum cases, but if it does happen, just know that we do have a process to work through that. Now I'm going to talk just a little bit about the payment process. So once you've completed that whole process, they've contacted you, they've scheduled the assessment, they've shown up and they took the assessment, that will kick in the payment process. So as I mentioned earlier, the student pays MSSC directly, either out of their own pocket or with tuition assistance from the military, and then they complete the assessment. MSSC pays $15 per assessment given to the assessment center. So if you have that same Marine that comes in and they take the test and they fail it, and then they need to retest, they can purchase another test from MSSC, schedule a retest, and come back and take it. We'll pay you for both tests, so you'll get $30 for that one individual because they took 2 tests. And that'll be the same for everyone. The way that our internal program works is the last day of the month, it provides us with a report. We validate that report, and then payments will go out by the 15th of the month for the previous month. So you'll be getting a check in the second half of June for any test delivered in the month of May. We will include with that payment a list of the tester names that we're paying you for, so you can verify that with your records, and we can make sure that we're staying on point. And I think that's relatively self-explanatory. But if you have any questions, like I said, just don't forget that there is a question center here that you can type them in, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. I've mentioned a little bit about this before, and we're putting together some information both on our website and in some documents that we will email to you that you can hand out to military personnel, especially if you have a presence on base. We're gonna try to get you some tools relatively quickly that you can hand out to soldiers and other military personnel to give them a little bit more incentive to contact you and take a test there. But this is just kind of how the military members can pay us. Like I mentioned, there's tuition assistance, which currently is the Air Force and Navy that's using that. Eventually, all 4 branches that will be available to. We are, like I said, approved for GI Bill reimbursement. They can pay us directly via credit card, or if they're working through some other program like a Workforce Investment Board or some other veterans assistance program, we can set up payment arrangements with them as well. And then I'm going to touch just a little bit on courses and training. I don't want to spend too long on this, but I think that it's important that you just know kind of what our policy is for courses and training, especially those of you that are new to MSSC and who signed up in this military initiative. Like I said at the beginning of the call, we've been working with the military for the past 2.5 years to develop several pilot programs and figure out how to best prepare military personnel for a civilian job by helping them get prepared to earn a civilian certification. One of the things that we did discover is that the military training is not enough to teach them everything they need to know to earn the certification. There are things in our program that are simply not necessary for military members to know. Things about trade regulations and various things like that that just aren't required in the military. So we've provided them access to our online course materials outside of our regular course programs. So these are available to active duty members, reservists, guardists, and veterans who have separated within the past 5 years. They can get access to these courses. They purchase them directly from MSSC. They take them online, just like any other kind of correspondence course. And it's kind of up to them how long they take to complete it. Most of them, depending on what their schedule is, if they're in a 12-month transition period and they know they're exiting, they're going to have plenty of time to get through the online training materials and take their assessments in that year without a problem. But to be clear, we don't require them to take those courses. So you don't have to worry about verifying that anybody's taken a course or done something or anything like that. If they've taken the course and they want to take the assessment, that's great. If they haven't taken the course and they still want to take the assessment, that's great too. And we will, as we continue to collect more data, we'll provide them with information on the success rates of their peers who have done both versions so they can make an educated decision on what to do. So it is perfectly fine for MSSC assessment centers to deliver only our assessments and not have any of our course materials or any classes related to our course materials. That's fine. And it's especially appropriate with this population because they will likely have had access to training already. So I think that's the bulk of the information that I have. I am going to go to question time now, and I have about 10 minutes before I have to leave, so I'm going to start going through these questions and then hand them over to Tina to address. Let me just open up my question window. Give me just 1 second. We have quite a few questions that have come in, and like I said, I'm going to do my best to answer most of them while we're online. If there's any that we don't get to or any that I don't have an answer to, we'll add them to an FAQ as I mentioned, and we'll send that out to the whole group that attended, along with the recording of the webinar and the presentation that has all the details on it. So the first question I see asks about the 88N career field from the Army, if they will be able to participate as well. They are, from an MSSC perspective, anyone from the military can participate in the program. We don't limit it to specific military occupational specialties. So yes, that person would be able to participate. Currently, the only difference between the 88N and the 92 Alpha is that the 92 Alpha qualifies for tuition assistance in the Army, and they will earn promotion points for it. The 88N is not earning promotion points for it, and I don't believe that the Army will pay for that assessment at this time. However, they are on our list to be added to that approved group. So hopefully by the end of this year, the 88Ns will be added into that. Another question, will we email the PowerPoint to you? Yes, we will. We'll be following up by the end of this week with all of this information and email it to all the attendees. The cost, someone asked what the cost is for the prep materials for active duty military members. Currently, we have provided a direct sale rate to the military members of $91 a course. That's been part of the pilot. I don't know if that will remain the case. So that is the price right now, though. Let's see. Next question. Will the site coordinator receive the test score notification as we currently do? Yes, you will. Site coordinators will still receive all the same information that you currently get. If you're an existing MSSC assessment center, really the main difference in this process is how the test is scheduled and that you won't be purchasing it directly from us. But everything else about the back end of the testing system will operate the same way. So there will still be test codes. There's still going to be, at the end of the assessment, the military member will still see their score, and the site coordinator will still get a report of that score. There is one slight difference that's slightly related to this that is slightly different for existing MSSC assessment centers, and that is that you won't have to assign the test code to the military member. When they go in and purchase the test, their MSSC ID and their name is going to be automatically attached to that test code. So when you get the email as the site coordinator and click the link to accept that test, you're going to, when you see that test code show up, it's already going to have that member's name and their MSSC ID attached to it. So you'll know, if you're ordering, if you're one of our larger centers and you order hundreds of assessments every month, this is how you'll be able to make sure that you don't accidentally use one that a military member has purchased for your own classes, or that you don't get confused. So their name and ID will be attached to it. So another question just asking for our contact information, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the screen. This has my contact information, Tina's information, who I think you've worked with quite a bit already. And then I've also added down here at the bottom a link to our blog, which every, well, not every Thursday, but twice a month on Thursdays, we'll be posting veteran-specific articles on there that may be of interest to you. So if you want to, go check that out and sign up to receive those updates. And then I've also included a link to our military page. This currently is directed specifically toward military personnel and veterans. So, but it would give you some good information about how we're explaining the program to them. And as we continue to build that part of the website out, there will be more information there that's useful to you as a test site as well. Let's see. There is a question, what happens if the candidate does not show up for their appointment? Will the assessment center still be paid? Honestly, I don't know the exact answer to that. If the individual has paid us for the test, then likely the answer would be yes. We will have to work out how the military person then would reschedule the test, because then they'd have to pay again, essentially, to cover the cost of your time. But I will look into that more and get you a better answer on that one. Just gonna scroll through and find a few questions. Is there a fee charged to the veteran who takes an online course within 5 years of separation? For the veteran, yes, they would have that same, the $91 fee that I mentioned earlier. They have the same access to that course. Once they've been out for 5 years or more, we won't allow them to just purchase our courses individually. They would have to go through a regular MSSC course at a college or school or training center, because we feel like after 5 years they're enough out of that career field that they really would benefit better from being in a classroom. Is the center allowed to charge a sitting fee as well? That one is another one I'll have to get back to you on, and let you know more details. I know with our regular assessment process, that's fine. With this one, I just need to confirm if that's okay or not. If a tester needs to reschedule their test within the 6-month period, will they need to contact MSSC back to let them know they've rescheduled with the testing center? No, they do not. As long as it takes place within that 6 months, we'll be notified once they take the test. So we won't worry about it. We're not going to follow up to if they miss the 6 months. It's on them to follow up with us, pay the fee, and get it reinstated. So basically, once they've made that connection and once you've clicked that link in the email to accept the test, MSSC kind of steps back until the assessment has been taken, and then we come back in to finalize the process, provide them their certificate, and things like that. A few more questions. One question here, does TA, tuition assistance, cover MSSC courses? Currently, it would cover them if they are part of a 4-credit program at a college. It does not cover them if they purchase them directly from us at this time. We're currently going through the process to get them accredited, so it will. But right now, it does not. So if military members want to take the courses, they're paying for it out of their pocket. Unless they go to a college where it's part of a 4-credit program, and then they can use tuition assistance. There's a question asking if we have military-focused marketing materials. We are finalizing those right now, and we will be sending those out to you. We'll have we have just some basic one-pagers that give information about the program, and we will be saving a space on there. So you'll basically get it as a PDF with a place where you can customize it and put your contact information into it and then print it out. Let's see. There's a question about, an instructor asked if they can be authorized to proctor exams for military personnel not participating in one of your classes. The answer to that is no. No MSSC instructor or instructor of our programs can ever proctor an assessment for any student, regardless of how they've come to you. There's a question here about another question about if you can charge a sitting fee for proctoring, and if not, can you set a limit to how many people must show up to schedule a test? You can certainly do that. We do the same thing for other types of programs that we use. So, so if you want to set a requirement that you must have at least 5 people to sit for an exam before you'll schedule it, that's fine. You can just set up a registration system, or just say once we get 5 people, we'll notify you and schedule a date. That's perfectly fine. That will still work within our system. Once those 5 individuals are notified of the date, they will go into our system, finalize their order. Your site coordinator will still get the notification from that. You'll approve it, and then they can come sit for the assessment. Okay, those are all the questions I see. If I've missed any, I apologize. I'm going to go back a slide, and if any more questions come in, we can do that. But this is just kind of a reminder here on the screen about what we will be doing to follow up from this call. Like I said, over the next few weeks, we're going to send you some additional marketing materials. We will have information both on our website and handouts about financial aid for the testers. And I already mentioned the blog. We have our, we also will be doing a military-friendly mailing list, which basically is just all of you who signed up for this webinar or who signed up through the open enrollment period. So it won't be a lot. We won't harass you, but we will send you periodic updates throughout the year just to let you know of any changes to the process or the program, or if we have any new marketing materials or just new information from the military to provide to you. That list would be the most likely place to get that. And in addition to that, like I've mentioned a couple of times already, just a reminder, we will send you this presentation, a link to the recording of the webinar, and we'll take all of these questions. Even though I've answered them on the webinar, we will turn them into an FAQ and send those to you as well, and include answers to some of the questions that I either missed or didn't have answers to today. So I'm not seeing any other questions come in. I'm going to go just back to the contact slide for a minute, just in case anybody missed that, and see if, is Tina here? Tina, are you there?
Yeah, I was on mute.
Okay. I'm about to leave. I don't really have anything else to cover unless there's anything you want to say before wrapping up.
I do have one quick thing for all of our current assessment sites who joined this webinar based on the email that they received from me. If you haven't already contacted me and let me know that you want to be listed as military friendly, I ask that you please do, because I know there are a couple of schools on here that I haven't received an email from, and I just want to make sure that we capture all of you who want to make yourselves available to our vets and to our active duty personnel. And other than that, Rebecca, I'm good. Okay, well, I guess we are done, unless anyone has any additional questions. Like Rebecca said, by the end of the week, I will get out to you guys this PowerPoint, a recording of this webinar, and some of our initial marketing materials that we want to make sure we make available to you so you guys can help us get the word out to the bases that you are located near, so that they know where they can come and get some testing. But if you have any, again, if you have any questions, you have our contact information, please don't hesitate to give us a call. So unless there's anything else from anyone, I'm going to end this webinar, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.